We do get cynical. Right? There's just no way around it. But we really try to go in, and we don't necessarily call ourselves paranormal investigators anymore. We call ourselves paranormal claims investigators. So what we're looking into is what people claim. If someone says, "Ooh, I felt a cold spot," in this part of the room, we don't go in the room with everything blazing trying to find a ghost. We go in that room and we try to see if we can find the cold spot, and when we find it, how did it happen? Where's the breeze coming from? Is there a crack in the window or whatever? So we try to only address the claims and go that route. But if it turns out to be something that seems paranormal, well, then that's something we won't say it's paranormal. The reason we don't is everybody here knows what Occam's razor is? Okay, Occam's razor means that all things being equal, the simplest explanation is more than likely the correct one. So if, like with Grant and the table, is it more likely that he kicked the table himself, or that a spirit from the other side came and moved the table as some sort of weak attempt at communication? Which one makes more sense? That's really what Occam's razor is all about. So if you make yourself a scale, that on one side you have the most plausible explanation for something, and on the other end you have the paranormal explanation.
Now I will stop and say he's describing something known as Brian and Baxter's chart on how to not be stupid.
Exactly, that's what it's called. And what you have to do is eliminate the plausible explanations. Paranormal groups come in and leap all the way down, ignoring all the plausible explanations, and jump right to the paranormal explanation. So, while we don't exclude the paranormal explanation, we just can't jump to it. We have to explain everything else first before we get to it. When you've swept away everything that's plausible, all you're left with is the paranormal explanation. And has it ever happened? Not once. Often because we're in situations where we can't recreate it well enough to be able to exclude things. So we will often have to leave things at this particular thing is unexplained. Not unexplainable, but unexplained. And an example of that is we had a video, I don't know how many of you might have seen it, of a chair moving by itself in a restaurant in Arvada, Colorado. For 2 years, we stressed out over this chair moving. We watched the video over and over. We called the Mile High Skeptics in for dinner at this restaurant to examine the room and the chair and come up with explanations for us to help us figure this out. The best explanation we got was that a midget climbed in through the window and got under the table and moved the chair so we couldn't see it on the camera, and then the midget went back out the window. That was the best explanation they could come up with. Not exactly plausible either, but better than a ghost. So we worked for 2 years trying to figure out, and we finally did it about 2 weeks ago. We finally solved what had happened. And it was a matter of the old magician's thing of angles, perspective, and a little bit of misdirection. And it was an optical illusion. But we finally figured out how the chair appeared to move. And that's the thing, you gotta be tenacious. You have to, if something is not yet explained, you have to keep going back and chip away at the plausible explanations first.
And this is really hard to explain to people because we've been a clearinghouse or become a clearinghouse for what people believe are ghost videos or pictures, and a lot of it is easily explainable. But there are certain ones we just don't have enough data about the surroundings or what was happening. But where most people would jump in and go, well, it's not a naturally explainable thing, it has to be a ghost. We don't go that far.
Now, we have had personal experiences also. Now, when I say personal experience, that's usually something that's happened to one of us where there's been no witnesses. It hasn't, we haven't got any video or photo evidence of it or anything like that. We have had those times, happen. But I've seen a woman walk across the hallway, plain sight. The video camera picked up nothing. And it startled the hell out of me because there was not supposed to be anyone there. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning in an old church. And this woman walks right in front of me. Rolled the video back? Absolutely not. So the odds are I was tired and thought I saw something that I really didn't. Your mind has a way of filling in the blanks often. Brian got smacked, but that's nothing new.
Yeah, that's true.
He was sitting in
Just
the middle of the room.
I had what felt like something hitting me. But once again, like he said, we are throwing ourselves into a situation where, as unbiased as we try to be, especially when you have a freaked out family sitting with you, telling you ghost stories in the middle of a dark room, you've been up for 36 hours, 48 hours, our longest one about what, 80 some hours?
Yeah.
And this is with no sleep. So we can't really rely on our perceptions. We know that when it comes to being able to record data, the human body is just a bad thing for that. And we're learning that more and more by doing this and having strange things happen to just us.
Now, many people had personal experiences. While those are wonderful experiences to remember and hold on to, they will never be proof. And that's the rough part, you know. So, you know, people will come to us and tell us about some personal experience and go, how do you explain that? Well, I don't have nearly enough information to explain that, for one. I wasn't there. And I don't know exactly what you were on at the time either. So it is a really difficult thing. Now, personal experiences, if there are ghosts, maybe that's just the only way that they can communicate with us. Who knows? But the bottom line is they're not proof. They're just simply not.
Anybody else? It's a nice, quiet room.
Yes?
Do you deal with religious claims like, you know, Virgin Mary's face in a pancake?
We will throw ourselves into the middle of any weird, paranormal claim.
I just had a pancake that had Osama bin Laden on it, as a matter of fact.
Actually, you did. eBay?
Yeah, well, I tried to sell it to one of Logan's friends. No, buy it. Well, it's too late. It got moldy and she threw it out, so it didn't keep well. But yeah, we will, any paranormal claim, we are more than happy to address it. We're hoping with IIG possibly coming to Denver that we'll get to do a little bit of testing, the paranormal testing with a $50,000 award for anyone who can actually prove they have paranormal powers. So.
But yeah, we'll take any paranormal claim as far as, well, just to show you how far we try to let people know the truth. I brought up the Denver ET Commission a while ago. If you're familiar with that, I'm sorry. But because we knew that the claims behind this creation of a city government-funded operation were false, we went as far as creating a political action committee, I guess is the correct term. So we were actually the registered opponents to the creation of this commission, out in front of the public, talking about their claims and the reality behind them. So nothing's untouchable, and we'll stick our necks out for anything. You had a question back there.
Well, it seems like paranormal events are unrelated. They're always very small things, like a chair moving or a draft or maybe a voice on a recorder. So if ghosts, for example, did exist, what would you expect them to be doing? And do you have any kind of a standard of evidence that would make you start leaning something towards a paranormal explanation instead of a rational one?
Okay, one of the main things about this is when you talk about doing any kind of thing like this, whether it be paranormal investigation or investigation of any kind, you have to look at what your goal is. And that tells you a little bit more about how you're going to conduct yourself throughout. Now, our goal is not to find paranormal activity. Our goal is to find what's behind some of these claims. Now, the other thing that we do is we like to show that the techniques of many paranormal investigation groups are worthless. So we employ many of the same techniques to say, look, we got nothing. You know, we like to do the demonstrate orb pictures. One thing we don't do is EVP. We don't do any kind of seances, unless it's completely mockingly. We don't get involved in anything where we would be interacting with said spirit. Because good investigation, good research, means that you don't get in your own mind a predetermined outcome. And when you're talking to a ghost, you know, when did you die? You know, what's your name? All that kind of stuff. You're admitting that there's a ghost. You're already saying it flat out. There's a ghost here and I'm talking to it. So even though you can toy with yourself about, oh, I don't really believe, psychologically you are flipping a little switch in there. And suddenly, when you get a little bit of static that comes back after you've asked when did you die, and that static sounds a little bit like a number, you've got a confirmation right there that sends you right down that road. So we do not do any kind of I guess, actions like that where we would be, you know, sort of predetermining the outcome like that. So we're not looking for evidence of ghosts. If evidence of ghosts somehow presents itself because we've been able to eliminate everything else, which we highly doubt at this point, then that's fantastic. We're completely open to that possibility. In fact, who in here wouldn't love to see a ghost? You know, if they were real, wouldn't that be fantastic?
Awesome.
You know, or have an alien fly down in a flying saucer. I mean, that'd be cool. Have someone prove to you that they are truly psychic. What's that?
It depends on his intent.
Well, that's true. That's true. So, that gives you a little bit of an idea. Yes?
Yeah, you know, when we went to see Chris Moon, one of the tricks that they used with the EVPs is, you know, they put the words up there. As you know, as it's being said in the static, they put them up there, and when they do that, it's a pareidolia effect.
It's karaoke,
You
yeah.
can hear it.
Exactly, exactly. If you're told ahead of time what something like that says, that's what you're going to hear. You know, every time. And all the paranormal shows do that. They say exactly what it is right there. In one of our other talks, we like to do a demonstration where we will play you what they call a Class A EVP, which is unmistakable. You cannot misunderstand what this voice is saying.
You want to hear it?
Oh, do you have it?
I can do that.
Okay.
Talk about something else first.
Okay, so well, I'll just prep you for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to play you this EVP, and we're not going to tell you what it says, but it has been classified as unmistakable. Now, can I have a volunteer?
We need a volunteer.
That would want to come up here for a second. And I'm going to tell you what it says.
Here, come behind the podium.
Okay, go over there to him. He's going to show you what it says, and then you can let them know if it said what. If it says, so it's just a little experiment to demonstrate audio pareidolia.
I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
Oh, for the love of God.
There is no God.
Good point.
It's not very often I get to do it that way. I get that much of a giggle. Okay. First, we're going to play this audio clip. This is a Class A recording measure. Not yet.
Well, he needs to see it.
He will on here.
Okay.
There's one clip to play first.
Okay.
So, what do you hear? Did anybody hear anything?
It's unmistakable, right? Well, shut up, Logan.
Okay, now we're going to do this. Did you hear the answer or the?
Yeah, sure.
It's absolutely there. Okay, we're going to do this one more time just to see if anybody can hear it. One more time. See? He's hearing one because he can hear without any question.
Oh, that's crazy.
Are you ready for the answer?
There something? Was the word there in it?
No, that's what it says.
Oh.
Are you ready? Here you go, one more time.
Now the reality is there probably isn't even a human voice on there. It was probably different rustling around noises. They put it through some filters.
Okay, that's a segue.
And suddenly,
To take that a step farther, what if we don't have any human voices? What if we just go with a random computer-generated noise? We're going to play one here. Each speaker has a different sound coming from it. Just listen for a word.
it's in stereo.
Anybody hear a word?
No.
No. Red. I often will hear red rum. the sounds coming through. You can distinctively hear one that could be no, it could be who knows, there's another one has more of a way kind of sound to it.
Well, the thing is,
It could be any of these, or anything you decide to make up. But once you hear it, you can't get it out of your head.
here, pick a word.
Pick one. Now, the audio here is a little bizarre because it is in stereo, but it sounds like they're kind of cramming it to get it's coming from maybe mono, I'm not sure.
There you go.
Can you hear it?
I have to stop this lecture because it's going to keep going on here. Everybody's seen this one, right?
Oh, it's spinning one?
Well, yeah, but we get a lot of people claiming we saw this and it was doing this, you know, and we were in a dark room and we saw this human form and it turned and went this way. How do you know that? Because the human mind is horrible at interpreting things. If you watch her, how many people see her turning to the right? Okay, I count 5 hands now. Come on, people. How many people see her? Now, if you can't tell me what way that she's turning consistently across this group of people, how can somebody say, I saw something happen and this is exactly what it was?
Especially when the lighting is dim. And there's
Exactly.
fire.
I've got a group of people here that can't agree on which way this is turning. In fact, if you want to have fun, stare down at her feet and think of her turning the other way. And about half the time, she will. Wait for that one.
Oh, there she goes.
See? It always
Just
happens.
switched.
So
Wow.
we try to let people know that our senses aren't exactly what they need to be to record this type of
The
thing.
world is full of illusion.
Thank you, Doug Henning.
Any other questions? All right.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Does it